There are few things that are more terrifying than hearing strange noises in your home, especially when you're all alone. Imagine if every time you turned around something was out of place or moving on its own. What if you saw an apparition standing at the foot of your bed? Well, for the family at the center of this story, that was just an average day. Welcome to my channel. Today we're exploring the Enfield poltergeist. In 1977, Margaret and her 4 children were living in a modest home in Enfield, London. One day, Margaret heard what she described as knocking sounds coming from within the walls. She assumed it was simply someone or something in the house next door. However, the noises continued and soon the objects started moving. Margaret would turn around and the plates on the wall would fall down. Glasses would move on their own and books would fly through the air. Then they started hearing the sound of footsteps above their heads. They would feel the bed shaking and the room filling with cold air. And then out of the corner of their eye, they would see the bed moving on its own. At first, Margaret thought it was her daughter moving the furniture, but when she investigated, she found that it wasn't. Her daughter was never seen moving any of the furniture. The girl claimed that she was being levitated through the air by an invisible force. At one point, Margaret walked into the bedroom and found her daughter floating in midair. She was hanging there motionless. Margaret screamed and the girl immediately dropped to the ground. Afterwards, Margaret's son David told the press, "I saw my sister levitating about 3 times. It happened the other night. I was in bed when I saw her floating through the air. I shouted to Mum, who was downstairs, and when she came up, my sister had fallen to the floor." Margaret called the police to report the strange activity. When the officers arrived, they found the family in a state of panic. They, too, began experiencing strange phenomena. Over the next few weeks, hundreds of journalists showed up at the home to investigate. Many of them witnessed strange activity. Some saw apparitions, while others heard disembodied voices. Writer and journalist Guy Lyon Playfair even captured audio of these voices. In one recording, a voice can be heard saying, "Why are you here?" Another says, "Get out of here." And another says, "Leave and don't come back." To this day, nobody has been able to explain these recordings. Ed and Lorraine Warren were paranormal investigators who flew over from America to help the family. After spending some time in the home, they agreed that it was haunted. According to reports, Lorraine saw the ghost of an old woman in a Victorian nightgown. While investigating the bedrooms, Ed and Lorraine discovered that the closet in Janet's room contained a portal to another dimension. They believed that the entity in the closet was using this portal to enter the house. Lorraine said, "You could actually feel the temperature change as the entity entered and exited through the wardrobe. There were distinct changes. You could feel the presence get stronger as it approached you, and then it would become weaker as it went back through the wardrobe." Skeptics claimed that the whole thing was a hoax. They believed that Margaret made the whole thing up for attention. There was even a movie made about the haunting called The Woman in Black, starring Daniel Radcliffe. In the film, Radcliffe's character is sent to the town where the haunting took place to retrieve some documents. While there, he uncovers the truth behind the story. Turns out Margaret never even lived at the house in Enfield. The story goes that Margaret made up the whole thing to sell the story to Reader's Digest. But regardless of whether it was a hoax or not, there is one thing that skeptics can't explain away: the multiple witnesses. Dozens of people saw and experienced strange activity at the home on Green Street. Even the police officers and journalists, who were generally skeptical of all things paranormal, had to admit that something strange was going on. Are you a believer? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. See you next time.